good evening, and welcome to our Monday Night Live. Let us begin with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this day, and we thank you for the session that we're about to have, this lesson, this topic, and we ask for your continued blessing and be with all those who are here and those who are yet to join. This is our prayer in Jesus' name, amen. So our topic of discussion today, quite interesting. What is in your cup of tea? Is it life or is it death? And you would determine the answer to that question at the end of the presentation. But what is in your cup of tea? And before I tell you all about that, just letting you know that I'm speaking from Pure Wellness Lifestyle Center, all the way in Trinidad and Tobago. At the moment, I am in the US, but this is a center that we have. We concluded a session just last Thursday, and it was a really exciting and healing time for our guests who were present. Of course, being at the center allows you that opportunity to live in with us and get a guided experience as well as guided recommendations as we work with you in your particular health situation. As we observe certain things, like even certain foods, whether it has an impact on you or not, and if it does have an impact on you in a negative way, and we would recognize that, then that very well might be a food that we'd back away from you. Sometimes we have prior knowledge, and it's just like about testing certain things, in addition to getting various therapies to help you through and to feel better, as well as to give you the tools you need to continue when you go back home your health journey and support you even thereafter. So coming out to the center, it's what I would say, it's an experience. It's not just a visit, and it is one that will be a blessing to you for a lifetime, for the rest of your life. So do plan, come out and visit us. If you look on our website, drnatalienash, drnatalienash.com, and you would see the schedule of dates when we are available for sessions coming up later this year. Now, big question here. What is in your cup of tea? Is it life or is it death? Now, around this time of year, May is focused a lot about tea parties. And then we are here into June, and we still have some of that trickling over, but then you also have like weddings and other special times. It's summertime for many countries. And so individuals are stepping out and engaging and connecting on a social level. And they are having drinks. And maybe you might be offered a cup of tea, but what is in it? And that's the big question. And so we're going to look at the whole topic about on tea. What is tea exactly? And what do you consume, and what impact can that have on your body? So yesterday I had the opportunity of going to a tea party, and it was quite interesting. The decor, you had to dress up. My sister, she just dressed me up in this thing on your head called a fascinator. I don't know if you know what that is, but we looked pretty dandy. I'll show you a picture towards the end. But yeah, we looked pretty dandy and maybe a little bit of the old times. But what we they served up many things, and that got me thinking as to what individuals might be consuming and how it can impact on their health. And again, I would always say to my guests and my clients and my audiences that every choice that you make when it comes to consuming something, it matters to your health. And similarly, every meal matters and every drink matters. And especially if you're having something repeatedly, of course, it will have an impact on your health. And for some individuals, they're quite sensitive. So just one drink can take them down a road that makes them feel quite different. So let's have a look. There are a couple quotations that I'm going to share with you in between that will tie into some of the facts of things that we'll be discussing here. So this is one of them coming from a book called Counsels on Diets and Foods. And it says the stimulating diet and drink of this day are not conducive to the best state of health. Tea, coffee, and tobacco are all stimulating and contain poisons. Really? Well, they are not only unnecessary, but harmful and should be discarded if we would add to knowledge temperance in all things, meaning to totally abstain from that which is harmful and moderate use in that which is good. So it's talking about tea and coffee and tobacco being quite stimulating and having compounds in them that could be toxic to our bodies. So big question is, what is tea? And I just like to make sure I'm looking at a chat. So what is tea? And here's a definition. It said that tea is the simplest form, in its simple form, is a beverage made by steeping the leaves of the Camellia sinensis plant in hot water. You're steeping this plant in hot water. It's not peppermint, it's not identified as the ginger plant or any of those things. It's a particular plant called Camellia sinensis. And when you steep that, that is tea. And while many beverages are, referred to as tea, the true definition of tea refers to the beverages derived specifically from this Camellia sinensis plant. And these include varieties. So you can have black tea, green tea, white tea, oolong tea, and pu'er tea, all processed in different ways of the same plant, but giving you tea. And so other beverages like herbal infusions and tisanes, they are made from non-tea plants. So when you hear tea, the true tea comes from this particular plant, Camellia sinensis. And this is, you have fields and fields out in China, out in India, where these are grown and they are hand-picked by individuals. It's not like any machine we go and gather these things. They're handpicked by individuals and then they are processed in a form to make tea. So when you think about black tea, black tea comes about because of the process that it goes through. So black tea, they will pick the leaves of the tea. And by the way, these leaves are bitter. Okay, they're not sweet, they are bitter. And so the leaf would be picked and then it is left to oxidize. That means it interacts with the oxygen in the air. And that can be anywhere from several hours to a few days where they would leave that and it will wilt. But as it wilts, the color of the leaves become darker and darker. And when you brew it, you get a darker color water. All right, that's for black tea. Now, green tea, on the other hand, comes from the same leaves of Camellia sinensis, but it is not left to oxidize. Okay, they do not leave it there to interact with the air to get darker. They process it right away. They seek to get it a little dried up, from any moisture, and then they work on crushing it and mashing it up to get it into the form that you would see. You wouldn't see the whole tea leaf, but you'd see bits and pieces of it. So that's green tea, but it's coming from the same plant. And then you have another one called oolong tea. And this is a type of tea that falls between green tea and black tea. So it oxidizes a bit, but not as long as in a duration as the green tea. And so it has a more flavor that is floral or fruity or earthy. So the taste of it is a little bit different. So those are some of the three major ones, but you will see some other types of teas being put out on the market, like Earl Grey, for example, where it's the same tea, such as black tea, but they add bergamot, which is a type of citrus fruit to it, and give it a different flavor. And there you have your Earl Grey. You also have chai tea, which is a form of tea, and we talk about that. And then you have Ceylon and Oolong. So these are some of the common ones. Look at this chart. Here we went on to introduce and to show caffeine within tea. So the big question, does tea have caffeine in it? And the answer is yes. So you have black tea, oolong tea, matcha, green tea, chai tea, Ceylon, white tea, kombucha. All of these names you might have heard. So the black tea carries anywhere like 50 to 90 milligrams per cup. And you're looking at a cup measure of 8 ounces of water poured on that tea. Then you have the oolong tea, and that is anywhere between 30 to 50 milligrams per 8-ounce cup. You also got the matcha tea, and that is where you have, just give me 1 second. Yeah, you have there another matcha tea is also one of those types of teas, and it carries anywhere 30 to 60 milligrams per 8 ounce. You've got green tea, and that is, you see lower, between 25 to 50 milligrams per 8 ounce. Now, you may be wondering, why a range? And the range comes about because of if you were to sort of like draw the tea for a shorter space and span of time, then you get less caffeine impact within the water. As opposed to if you drew that for longer, you get more caffeine diffused into the hot water. And that accounts for the range right in there. Now, another one is the chai tea. And, I've seen folks pick up this tea in different places, or even individuals who claim not to be caffeine drinkers, not understanding what chai. Now, chai, the word chai means tea. So saying chai tea is almost like saying tea. All right, so chai means tea in itself. But in there you have 40 to 60 milligrams per 8-ounce cup. And then you have the Ceylon tea, and that carries between 23 to 110 milligrams per 8-ounce cup. Next, you got white tea, which it's again how it's processed, how it's prepared. It's coming from the same leaf, and it comes in at between 6 to 55 milligrams per 8-ounce cup. So then the last one listed here, kombucha tea, carries anywhere between 10 to 30 milligrams per 8-ounce cup. And so these are some examples of different types of teas that you would hear on the market, but they all come from the uh, Camellia sinensis plant, and they all have caffeine in them. And these are just a few names here. They go by other names in different territories. They may be called by other names. So it's always important for you, if you go somewhere strange and a certain type of tea is available for you to consume, take a little quick check online and see what is within this tea. What is this made from? What plant does it come from? And in that way, you will get better knowledge. Now, no, that doesn't matter what the name is or how it is processed. All true tea contains caffeine. All right, so remember we mentioned that herbal teas and so forth, they are not true tea because the real tea plant is a Camellia sinensis, and all true teas will come from that plant. And it does contain caffeine because the plant itself contains caffeine. Okay, all these variations are basically how it's prepared. Now, diseases of every stripe and type have been brought about and upon human beings by the use of tea and coffee and the narcotics opium and tobacco. And these hurtful indulgences must be given up. Only one, but all, not only one, but all are hurtful and injurious to the physical, mental, and moral powers and should be discontinued from a health standpoint. Again, coming from the book, Counsels in Diets and Foods. Now, when we think, some folks say, well, I don't do teas, I drink coffee, but it's the same harm that it can do to the body. So let's have another quotation. It says, in relation to tea, coffee, tobacco, and alcoholic drinks, the only safe course is to do what? Touch not and taste not and handle not. Say no, no, thank you. And not have these items. The only safe course is not to touch it, not to taste it, don't handle it. And in that way, you protect yourself from many of the ills that comes along with consuming these substances. And so they are all stimulants. They would affect the body in different degrees, but they all lead to the same direction as that of wine and cider, liquor and tobacco. So because they're stimulating items, you find that individuals tend to go for stronger stimulants like cigarette smoking or drinking liquor or cider. They tend to look for that. And if you were to, connect with anyone who consume these substances, they stay away from it for a while, and then they start to use one of the softer stimulants, they will tell you that they feel a craving, the draw, and being drawn towards wanting the greater stuff at some point. So let's, touch not, taste not, don't handle. Let's take a look at coffee. What is coffee? Now, coffee is a beverage made from the roasted and ground seeds. So you roast the seeds, then you grind them up of the typical evergreen coffee plant. So it comes from a plant, and these are the berries. Then as the plant matures, it gets darker in color, and it would soon be all brown looking, and they will put that to dry. I remember when as a child, I'd see my Indian neighbor putting out coffee on a bag out in the sun to dry that coffee bean and then go on to make coffee. So they will have to pass it through a mill to grind it, and then you have your coffee powder. So, but it comes from a coffee plant. So this is a picture of what a coffee plant looks like. Let's take a quick look at another item called cocoa, and I'll bring everything together for you. So cocoa, what is cocoa? And so again, cocoa is another plant, and it's a cocoa plant, or some places they call it cacao. It's the same thing. Cacao and cocoa, it's the same plant they're talking about. And so this is a picture of the cocoa pod when it is on the tree. It's yellow. Some of them have this reddish hue color to it. And once it's matured, they can crack it open. The shell is pretty hard, but you can crack it open like with a stone or some sharp device, and then you draw it apart. And this is the seed. It has a pulp over it. It's quite sweet. The pulpy area has a sweet taste, and but the bean itself is on the inside. So again, they will put this out to dry. They'll also put it to ferment. So they will have all these seeds, pull the pod apart, put all the seeds in a big trough, and then put it within a covering that you call it like a little cocoa house, which has some galvanized cover, but it's low. So the galvanized cover is sort of steep like this, but there's not much space between the base of the cocoa seed. And so because it's low, the heat from that galvanized is going to ferment it. And that's pretty much what they would do with to get the black leaves too. They put it in some humid room like that. So it takes up some form of fermentation as well. So the cocoa, once it ferments, they would thereafter get it to dry, and then work on pounding that seed, processing the seed, and giving you cocoa powder, so that you can make your cocoa tea. It will also give you cocoa butter, and through the process, you can get the fat from it, and you get the cocoa fat, cocoa butter, which is a lighter color, but then you see the chocolate coming in dark, and then it depends on the type of cocoa bean you have, that you can have variations of caffeine in them. I'll tell you about the caffeine in them. And similarly for the coffee. Now, cocoa and coffee, they are quite similar. They are almost like in the same category, same family. And yeah, and they tend to grow well within the same environment. So most times you see cocoa trees and coffee trees growing within the same environment. They are conducive to that same type of atmosphere. But here's something interesting. Chocolate is stimulating just as coffee, and there are cancer-causing chemicals even in chocolate called theobromine and another agent called alpha methylbenzyl alcohol. These two are cancer-causing agents in your cocoa bean itself, okay, in the cocoa bean. And when prepared as a cocoa tea or even in chocolate and so forth, it gets into the body. You consume it, it gets into the body, and individuals are at risk of getting prostate cancer even. If men drank 20 milligrams and more a day of chocolate tea, cocoa tea, it doubled his risk of getting prostate cancer. And that is important to know, because many times individuals are staying away from the tea, they're staying away from the coffee, but not recognizing the cocoa. These are just pictures of the cocoa powder chocolate product, chocolate. In it has theobromine, which is that active ingredient that has caffeine compounds. You got Milo, the Ovaltine, Hershey's, Nutella, the chocolate bars, all of them. Theobromine is a primary alkaloid found in the cocoa bean and thereby chocolate, as you would know it. Cocoa powder can vary in the amount of theobromine from 2% to at least 10%. And the theobromine content is found even in dark chocolate, 10 times more than in milk chocolate. So this is one item, not only caffeine. I'm going to show you caffeine just now in the cocoa, but theobromine, this alkaloid, is present, and that can be harmful to the body as well. The darker the chocolate is, the more theobromine it has in the particular item. So cocoa, dark chocolate contains anywhere like 70 to 85% of cocoa just for 1 ounce square. And that means it has 228 milligrams of theobromine. And you got dark chocolate at varied degrees, varied percentages, and the theobromine lessens. So the darker the cocoa product is, the more theobromine it has. It's more stimulating. Now, humans, what does theobromine do? It's a vasodilator, meaning it opens up the blood vessels. It's also a diuretic, so it's causing your kidneys to just excrete urine, and increasingly so. And it's a heart stimulant, so it can be quite stimulating to our heart. And then you have animals that theobromine is toxic to them, in dogs and in cats, and it can lead to death. Avoid giving your pets chocolate, all right? Don't play around with that. Avoid giving your pets chocolate. Now, question, does chocolate contain caffeine? We talked about it containing theobromine. Here's a site that shows, it comes from the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, and they have a website. So look at it here, nal.usda.gov sites. Well, and when you go on to that agriculture site for USDA, you would see different vitamins or minerals, and you just click on that button. And when you click on, there's one with caffeine. And so when you click on caffeine, you get a drop-down list of caffeine items. Let me just show you because I have it right here. So that you would see what I'm talking about. So when you do find it online, if you should go and look, you would see. So this is it's a PDF that's been here, and then you just scroll down. So it starts off with looking at dark chocolate, coated coffee beans, caffeine. So it's under the category of nutrients and caffeine, and looking at areas and items that you can get caffeine in. 236 milligrams of caffeine in just one serving, which is 28 pieces of candies, dark chocolate coated coffee beans. So what they've done is to look at products that are available on the market and identify the amount of caffeine in them. So Coca-Cola, whether it's the energy drink, original grape, loaded cherry, charged citrus, fortified with vitamins B6 and B12, for a 16 fluid ounce has 163 milligrams of caffeine in it. Energy drinks, Rockstar, Amp, and all of these, though sugar-free, it still has caffeine in it. And dark chocolate, cocoa solids, having 24 milligrams of caffeine. So if you had any doubt or wasn't sure whether chocolate had caffeine in it, and the agricultural site here is telling us that it does. The candies, the Nessa Crunch candy bar has 13 milligrams of caffeine. Mars snack food, these are things that even children consume. And just per ounce, having 13 milligrams of caffeine. Do they just eat one of these things? How many do they have? The mass is like 7. How many of these are they just chunking into their mouth today and tomorrow and the day after that? And they sell these things in big packs. So sometimes these children may get it to go off for their snack at school break. What about chocolate chip cookies? Even if it's low fat, it has 4 milligrams per serving, which is about 3 cookies. And the list just goes on. The wafers and so forth go on and on and on. So just identifying all of these. So the value is reduced on the list here, but just to give you an idea, I always knew and that, sort of intuitively, yeah, that has caffeine in it. Theobromine is the same, but this chart really sort of drove it home with clarity that these items do in fact have caffeine in them. Okay. Now, big question. So understanding that tea, coffee, chocolate, your cocoa, has caffeine in them. Let's take a look. What does caffeine do to our bodies? And so it disturbs the sleep. It can cause insomnia. Many individuals complain of insomnia, not recognizing that they are having cocoa tea, but be it in the morning, during the day, they're drinking coffee. They're having tea, in the true form of tea. They're consuming that during the day, and then it is messing up their sleep. They're not getting good sleep at night. So caffeine has a half-life of 3 to 7 hours. So it can stay in your system and interfere with your sleep. And especially if you drank any of that into the evening or into late evening, it can just be within your system for so long and disturb your rest. Think about having this night after night, day after day. It can, though it's excreted out of the urine, but the impact that it would have, and I'll show you what it would do, the impact that it can have on your body, even before it's excreted out of the body, because it can take like about six hours for caffeine to be excreted out of the kidneys. But even before that, it can impact your organs. What about the heart? And heart rate and blood pressure will increase when you consume tea, coffee, and cocoa. It can cause tachycardia or heart palpitations, this rapid heartbeat, especially when consumed in high doses or you just have volumes of it through the day. So what is it going to do? Your tea, coffee, and cocoa and your chocolate bars, it's going to cause your heart to race faster. That's why we advise individuals to come away from these things. Do not consume them because it can hurt the body. It may elevate the blood pressure, and that can be a problem even for those who are already hypertensive, that you're getting a higher reading. And you're saying, well, my medication isn't working, and the herbal agents that Dr. Nash and her team are giving to us, that's not working. And you don't realize that you're drinking these items. You're drinking green tea, black tea, the Lipton tea, or having these in being consumed, and the blood pressure is elevated. Drinking cocoa, drinking coffee, and the blood pressure is elevated. All of these tend to constrict the blood vessel, meaning to narrow it, tighten it, and then the blood has a harder time to flow through. It's not open nicely, but it's constricted. So it tends to speed up that heart rate, and that blood pressure can very well elevate. You also see that it causes overstimulation of your nervous system. You can suffer with nervousness. Some weeks ago, we had that discussion on nervousness and anxiety. The drink that's in your cup can cause that problem as well, contribute to it. Restlessness, irritability, panic attacks, all of these can come about, and anxiety disorders, because of what we're consuming that's quite stimulating. The energy drinks, the sodas, that the Coke and the black soft drinks and so forth that has the caffeine in it, those can cause the problem. What about digestion? Yes, it can contribute to acid reflux, where it stimulates acid production. So you're having more acid being produced in the stomach. Heartburn, stomach upset or discomfort can be a consequence. So digestion is also impaired. When you have acid reflux, you're going to be picky and choosy at the foods that you eat because you don't feel well. And even your digestion will be impaired because of an overproduction of acid in the stomach. So you get a heartburn, a burning sensation, and that's not good. Your health would be impacted. You're not going to eat properly, the types of foods that you should have to give you nutrition and to keep you in good health. Another one, addiction and dependence. Regular use of these stimulating items can lead to tolerance, um, requiring higher doses for the same effect. And so you feel good, and then you want more of that good feeling, but then it causes you to even consume more of the item to try and get that initial good feeling. It's elusive. It's not there. It's not real. It's what hit the body the first time, and then it goes. But you find now that should you want to stay away, you're going to get some symptoms, but it doesn't mean to say that you have to throw in the towel and give in. Because if you held out enough, you're going to get headache, you're going to feel fatigue, you're going to feel irritable, you're going to find that you have difficulty concentrating, but it's not the end for you. You can't stop and go through the withdrawal symptoms. Maybe some people are so strong they don't get all of these. But even if you did, hold out a little longer, a week or so, and your body will soon clear. Drinking lots of water can help to get these substances out of your system. Quite interesting that we may think that the coffee, when consumed, that you could excrete that out of your urine within 6 hours. Yet, when you seek to withdraw from it, you have all this impact. Doesn't that say to you how it's impacting your nervous system, that your nervous system is dependent on it? So before it leaves your body, it's already hurt. And your body is already impacted. The damage has already been done to your organs, to your nervous system. And therefore, we need to take advantage of this information and make a change today. And let us not become a nervous wreck in time to come. All right, what about the bone health? Now, as you are aging, your bones are super important to you. Do you see the tea that you're consuming, the Earl Grey, the oolong, the green tea, the white tea, the chai tea, all of these Lipton teas, the Coca-Colas, the coffee, and the chocolate and the cocoa, all of these going to impact your bones. Excessive caffeine, because you're consuming it day after day, morning and evening, can reduce calcium absorption, potentially impacting bone density, especially in people with low calcium intake. So, when you're consuming these things, your calcium level is reduced in your bones, and you will have problems. So your bone density, that's going to be identified as what? Osteoporosis, where you have porous bones. And as individuals age, it matters. Bone density matters to them because it's easy for them to break their bones and quite longer, for them to heal at the same time. So we look at bone health. What about those who are pregnant? Should they be consuming these things? What are the risks? So a high caffeine intake during pregnancy is associated with increased risk of miscarriage. Wow. A low birth weight and potentially developmental issues. Of the baby, the fetus, gonna have some problems. So you want to have a pregnant mom refrain from consuming any of these caffeinated beverages. And what about the bladder and the urinary tract? It acts as a diuretic, which can cause you to have frequent and urination. Therefore, you're going to be dehydrated because you're losing fluid and possible bladder irritation. So as the body sort of, it pulls from you. That's why sometimes people use it for weight loss, not understanding all of the other impacts that it's doing, because all it's doing is just drying you up and having you to urinate a whole lot. But you urinate your calcium because that's going to be reduced, and therefore you can have bladder issues. Substances coming within the bladder can cause some form of irritation. Headaches. Caffeine can cause headaches. It can also some people find that it relieves headache depending on the context. So for some, overuse may contribute to repeated headaches. You have headache, it seems to subside, but it comes again. As you drink, it increases. Sometimes for them, as they drink, it tends to go away. And that's where you see the dependency syndrome comes in that you're dependent on getting this caffeine in order to stop your headaches. That's not the right equation of true health, and it needs to turn around and be different. Interaction with medication. The caffeine, because of it being quite stimulating to our nervous system, you saw to the heart and to your bladder, it is also can interact with other stimulants that you're consuming and increase stimulation in the body. For example, individuals who are using energy drinks. And and then they have, the sodas, caffeinated sodas combined with that. That's going to be a huge impact. You got certain antibiotics where it can interact with antidepressants that's supposed to keep you calm. You're now using something that's quite stimulating, and even some heart medication that's supposed to relax and soothe and regulate your heart rate. It can now counter that and cause you to have fluctuating beats in your heart, too low or too high, because it's interacting with your medication. Now, caffeine is toxic, and the substances that contain them, the tea and the coffee bean, they are toxic. Here's another quotation coming from the Encyclopedia of Foods. It easily penetrates every cell in the body, particularly those of the nervous system. It is very stimulating to the nerves. It affects the function of the brain, the heart, the stomach, the kidneys. Now, we talked about the heart, we talked about the stomach with indigestion, we talked about the kidneys with frequent urination, but even the brain with the headaches that you're getting. Where's the head ache? Aching in the head, and the brain is in the head. So again, the constriction of blood to the brain can cause these headaches. Now, it is eliminated though in the urine between 3 to 6 hours after it is ingested. It is not accumulated in the body. But what do? You come and you drink it again and drink it again. But the damage will be done even before it is excreted out of the body. Okay, that's why you have withdrawal symptoms, because the body knows it and is dependent upon that. Caffeine too, like theobromine, it is also connected to certain cancers. The use of caffeine increases the risk of cancer of the ovary and of the bladder in women. For men, disease of the prostate. You got peptic ulcers. Remember, it's impacting the stomach, overproduction of acid. And osteoporosis because of the bone impact, just causing a decrease in the calcium in the bones. What diseases can be caused by the consumption of caffeine again? You got lumps in the breast, the green tea, the chocolate, the caffeinated drinks, the cola drinks, the all of those soft drinks, the black dark cola drinks. They cause fibrocystic breast for women. Some individuals might say, but all I'm doing is cocoa tea and chocolate tea. Yes, it will cause your breast to get lumps. Then you got nervous reaction. That's quite stimulating. Elevated blood pressure. We talked about that. And caffeine may be used as a medicine. Some folks may use it as a medicine, but not as part of the diet. Sometimes you may have vomiting. And if you were to ingest some caffeine, it tends to stem that vomiting, stop it. And then you go about your life. But I would tell you, you can use a probiotic to help with that vomiting, or you can use charcoal. We had someone at our center recently who had a bout of vomit, came in with that. And so we were helping the individual. And as we gave some probiotic, it tended to be calm a little bit, but then it came up. And so then we, drink some water. It came more vomit. And then we brought in the charcoal. And when we gave the charcoal, everything stayed down. The stomach settled, stayed down, and no more vomiting. So you don't need to resort to caffeine. There are other items that can be used to control vomits. It might, and then again, find out the cause. Coffee and cancer. Coffee contains cancer-causing chemicals. So we talked about theobromine having cancer-causing chemicals, theobromine coming from the cocoa bean. The coffee bean also has, big name, methyl glyoxyl, catechol, chlorogenic acid, and neochlorogenic acid, cancer-causing agents. They can cause damage to the DNA in the cell. And once your cell DNA is damaged, that can be problematic. It increases cancer risk, especially in the presence of other carcinogenic compounds. So cocoa, the chocolate, the coffee can all impair your DNA in your cells. Types of cancers linked to coffee: kidney, breast cancer, colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, and ovarian cancer. Pay keen attention to this. If you're one where you're drinking coffee, where you're drinking these cola drinks that contains caffeine in them, these organs will be impacted, and these organs very well can have their DNA damaged and causing cancer for you. Bladder cancer, again, looking at coffee and cancer. Bladder cancer, if one had 2 or more cups of coffee a day, yeah, particularly those caffeinated beverages, even your tea, significant with caffeine beverages. What has caffeine? The teas have caffeine in it, and the chocolate cocoa has caffeine, and the coffee has caffeine. If you drank 2 or more cups a day, twice you have 2 times the risk of getting bladder cancer. If you also drank 2 or more cups a day, you increase your risk of getting colon cancer by 70%. So there we need to leave the caffeinated items alone. What about decaf tea? I'm sure that was the burning question. What about decaffeinated coffee, decaffeinated tea? And decaffeinated tea contains small amounts of caffeine. The decaffeination process removes most of the caffeine, but not all of it. Typically, a cup of decaffeinated tea contains less than 2 milligrams of caffeine compared to 50 milligrams of caffeine per 8 ounce or more in a cup of regular tea. It is not completely caffeine free. Okay, point to note, because a lot of folks resort to decaf tea, decaf coffee. It is not completely caffeine free. So if you're one where you want to be cautious as to stay away from any caffeinated items, you're going to pay attention to this and make better choices. So, okay, coming to the question. So, those who use tea, coffee, opium, and alcohol may sometimes live to an old age. Because I have people who would say to me, well, my grandfather drank coffee until he was 99 or 100 and more. I had folks say that to me just recently. But this fact is no argument in favor of the use of these stimulants. What these persons might have accomplished but failed to do because of their intemperate habits, the great day of God alone would reveal. Because of these results, many suppose that the tea or coffee is doing them a great good. But this is a mistake. Tea and coffee do not nourish the system. Their impact is produced before there has been a time for digestion and assimilation, and what seems to be strength is only nervous excitement. Because some people say, it gives me strength, it energizes me, I cannot do without it. My day cannot start until I have a cup of coffee. But when the influence of the stimulant is gone, you need another cup and another one, and the natural force abates. The result is a corresponding degree of languor and debility. So you would feel like so low that you need another one. You need that energy. Why not get a good night's sleep? Drink lots of water, eat healthfully, your fruits and your vegetables, nuts, grains, seeds, legumes, and get fresh air, exercise, go get some sleep, and you'll have all the energy that you need. Individuals may say that they're tired and they're fatigued, but if they would only walk, they would be so wind up like an Energizer bunny that they will keep going and going and going from natural, impact from walking. Calm the nerves. The continued use of this nerve irritants is followed by headache, wakefulness, palpitation of the heart, indigestion, trembling, and many other evils, for they do wear out the life forces. Tired nerves would need rest and quiet instead of stimulation and overwork. So, tea of the week. Insomnia. What about if you have insomnia? Now, before I tell you, what about if you needed energy? We would use wheat grass in some water. Just take about a teaspoon of wheat grass in water in the morning, and that can give you energy. You want energy that's quite natural to the body. You don't want, even from a herbal standpoint, to get energy that's stimulating, okay? Because after all, tea leaves are leaves. You don't want it stimulating. You want just things to be natural for you. So wheatgrass can be quite simple and can give you some good energy there. But what about if you had problems sleeping, which happens to a lot of folks? They get issues. I would say take 1 teaspoon each of lemon balm, lavender, passion flower, and add that to 4 cups of hot water. You leave it, let it draw or steep for 1 to 3 hours, and then you drink that during the day. You strain and drink it all during the daytime. By the time you drank that, your system has been calmed down. You get better sleep at night. All right, so this is something that I do at the center. I combine lemon balm, lavender. This is a lavender plant, lemon balm plant, and passion flower. And you can make that combination. If you didn't have that, you can also use another item called skull cap, Skullcap. Skull cap you can use. You can use valerian. You can also use chamomile. Chamomile tea might be easy for you to get, but try if you have insomnia, try and make a combination of at least 3 of those items. 3 items, you can do chamomile, lemon balm, lavender, and get the body all rested up. Sometimes one may not work for you, but if you did a combination item of these calming teas for the nervous system, it can give you better rest. Another one, indigestion or bloating or gas, simple. Peppermint tea or ginger tea. You can help you here. If you have indigestion, you just drink a little ginger tea. If you have indigestion, bloating, you can have some peppermint tea, and that tends to get you down. Nauseous. If you feel a bit nauseous, ginger tea. Even pregnant women, when they are a bit nauseous, ginger tea can help them. Scripture of the week, Psalm 119, 165. Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Okay, so we go on into our Q&A at this time. I like the question. Does barley grass juice help with energy? Yes, it does. Barley grass can also be another great, fantastic option. And these items I would use for individuals who are low. I've had individuals come to the center already who are quite weak, feeble, and not eating up well. And along with a B complex, again, calming the nerves, they already have nervous system issues, but just getting the nerve nice and even, and adding wheatgrass, you can do barley grass. It strengthens the nervous system, it strengthens their body, it strengthens the cell from a cellular level, and helps with detoxifying the cells and so forth. So it's even an excellent item that you can use in cancer type situations. So I usually like early morning, one of the first drinks early morning is to have your wheatgrass in. Then you can drink your hot water or vice versa, but get it early morning and it just sets you ready for the day. Another question, what about coffee enema? Okay, so somebody asked if coffee enema is safe. So yeah, we would do enemas one in a situation where it becomes necessary. And sometimes because generally if we want to target elimination through the colon, we tend to work from top down. Yeah, from your mouth, ingest something that's going to get everything gushing out. So we would do something like super colon cleanse that has a combination of psyllium husk with senna, and get individuals getting their movements, bowel movements, emptying. However, there may be times when individuals cannot ingest anything because they are so sick. And depending on what, so we would do an enema to clear the lower bowels to help with the upper challenges. When it comes to the coffee as a means for cleansing the system, it is one that's used even in some cancer protocols. That is one that I don't really go to. And why they would use it, it's because it's said to be quite stimulating to the liver and cause the liver to be activated and to help with cleansing itself. Of course, you will need bile flow to go along with that. But individuals would use the coffee enemas from bottom up to get to certain reactions from the liver. It will be stimulating to the body and the nervous system because the colon is designed to and the upper tract, more the small intestine, is designed to absorb items from it in and get that passed on into the bloodstream. So if you were to do these coffee enemas, and usually they'll run it once, run it twice, so it gets really high up. I mean, you're targeting getting to the liver. That will be absorbed into the bloodstream, and that will be stimulating to the body just the same. So it's, again, in context, it's not one of our first go-tos. It's in really, tight situations where you don't have options. That one, we'd use enemas. And then secondly, what you put it in there, if a coffee enema is used, it's used again for medicinal purpose on an occasional basis, not continuous and not an everyday basis. So remember, we talked about how it can stem vomiting and so forth. So, but from the colon, it also has different types of impacts. Roma, is Roma a good hot drink? Now, Roma comes from roasted grain. So you have Roma, and there's another one called Pero. And these are roasted grains that tends to give a flavor. So good question. That tends to give a flavor like more coffee type. And you even have roasted dandelion root that gives a coffee flavor. You also got roasted chicory root that gives a coffee-like flavor to those drinks, but they just have that flavor. They're not caffeinated in itself. And similarly, Roma is not caffeinated. Roasted grains, I tend to show some caution around those roasted items because if it's roasted and it's black, then that creates acrylamide, which is a compound that can be harmful to the body and cause degeneration with our cells. So I don't really go for that. And great substitute for carob for your chocolate. So question about carob. Carob is a legume that comes in, and it's ground. So you have carob powder or you have carob chips instead of chocolate chips. It tastes like chocolate. It looks dark brown, may even carry a chocolate smell, but it's not chocolate. It's not. So carob does not have any caffeine item in it. And so carob is one of the safer options to use as a substitute. Again, it's from a bean, a legume, and it's not caffeinated at all. So that's a good option. Another option that I use when we make brownies, and brownies always tend to be like chocolatey. It is black bean. Yeah, black beans. Black beans, when you cook them plain and then you blend them in the blender and you just add a sweetener to it, it will give you a flavor like chocolate, but it's not chocolate. So it gives that flavor, color like chocolate, everything, but it's safe to use. It's not stimulating, there's no caffeine in it, and you can enjoy your brownies. Yeah. Excellent questions. That gives a little bit more input into our presentation today. And so thank you for these questions. All right, so if we have no more questions, I just want to say thank you for your attendance, your participation in our session today. Again, if this is your first time, we do welcome you, and we look forward to seeing you again at another Monday Night Live. If you do need support and help, you can contact us at these numbers: 1-868-724-4898, 1-868-367-3165. You can go to our website, www.drnatalienash.com. Even our WhatsApp group have been shared in the link for this presentation on your WhatsApp, where you might have been invited, and you're welcome to join our WhatsApp group. There you will get postings as to these sessions as they come, or additional information, or other times when we're doing varied things, or notice and advertisements about events that's coming up at our center. And we do have fantastic opportunities where you can come to the center, especially if you're local. We might just throw in a long weekend segment or something, and that gives you an opportunity to come in and participate in all the great things that we have there. So do have a blessed week ahead, and may God richly bless you. Let's just have a word of prayer to close. Heavenly Father, we want to give you thanks for our topic of discussion today. It's quite challenging. Many times individuals will be asked about tea and yet not examine it. And so as we understand, we pray that you help us to make better choices for our tea options. Go for the peppermint, go for the ginger, the mango leaf, the moringa tea, but not those which will hurt the body. We pray that you bless each person, grant them health, grant them strength, and peace within their lives. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Nash.
Thank you.